It's Wednesday, the 29th of August 2018. Welcome to Business Express. Rotus. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Valentine.
Welcome in Ayo from Afri Invest. Good morning.
Everyone. Good morning, Lagos.
Welcome. Good to have you here. Lagos, send your messages with that hashtag Business Express 981 and send it to at Smooth 981 FM. Also, send it to WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp number is 0809 444 0981. On YouTube, where we're streaming live, you can type in the search box Smooth 91 FM so you can see you and also leave a comment there. Good morning.
All right. So market was we closed. So we're still down this year by 7.13%. 33 gainers, 16 losers. Portland Paints was our top gainer yesterday, up by 9.7% to 2 naira 71 kobo. Ikeja Hotels was the top loser, down by 9.9%, basically 10%. Closed at 2 naira 27 kobo. We're still at 361 naira to the dollar. Ayo, welcome again, Afri Invest.
Thank you.
In town, coming in this morning, I think Folu and Valentine already mentioned our comments. You can't talk about the Nigerian economy without talking about poverty.
What do we call
Madam Poverty? Yeah, that's cheap. But whenever a foreign dignitary says something, it's spot per day. And she said, I just... Anyway, what your thoughts? I mean, what is there anything to say about this? It is what it is, right?
It's what it is. It's what we've always had. It's been a situation we've always had. Several policies and stuff have been done by different administrations just to try and poverty alleviation programs just to try to the Nigerian poverty line here. So it's really it's a pitiable state because when you look at Nigeria, the kind of resources that we have in comparison to other African countries, in comparison to other frontier and emerging markets, we should be doing better than we are doing. But what is lacking is the fact that we about these things many times, but they don't just seem to get the attention of people. But when the foreign leader comes in and says this, and then everyone picks it up. So
somebody comes to your house to tell you that your house is smelling.
Right, exactly.
You sit in the house because you're so used to that smell. Right. Probably do not know it's a bad thing, right?
Yeah. So
all right. Well, I think it was very bold of her to say this before visiting today, But okay, so we move on from that. Still on the president, the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill. I saw a couple of headlines yesterday suggesting that the president he's refused to sign it. What were the reasons that he gave?
Well, mentioned three reasons. Number one, he says it whittles down his power as the Minister of Petroleum Resources. Number two, he said consultation with some ministers made him decide not to take it because advised him against accepting his assent on the bill. And then he also talked about the fact that he said there was no fiscal content in the bill also. Okay. But looking at the reasons, they seem quite lame. Yeah, they seem quite lame. So, for example, he said there's no fiscal content in the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill. It's a petroleum industry governance bill, right? Designed for regulations, structuring of powers, who to do what, and who to take charge of this responsibility. There is a petroleum industry fiscal bill that is also in the passage, that is also in the works in the National Assembly. So when that comes in, you get the fiscal content. So it's strange to see that kind of comment. Then also it says it whittles down its power. It might be quite pitiable to say this, but really we haven't seen any major policy from him acting as the Minister of Petroleum Resources. I mean, almost everybody will forget that our president is the Minister of Petroleum,
right? I tend to forget myself, right?
So it's strange to see that that's a reason. And then I also remember that it was the current Minister of State, or the Emibe Kachuku, was one then in the petroleum industry bill. They were the ones that broke it down into four. Right. They were the ones working on this thing. So I wonder the ministers he consulted
that said he shouldn't sign it. Who are those ministers?
So it's strange to see that, and it's a major setback for the oil industry. Right. It's one bill that people have been looking, or it's a set of bills that people have been looking forward to, and seeing that the first part of it is not going through is a major setback for the industry, and we just hope that this is not tied to any political reason.
All right. Okay. We move on from that. We talked yesterday about GDP, Q2 GDP figures. We mentioned oil, and we also mentioned the agricultural. I wanted us to look at trade. Nairametrics has a story about the trade sector of GDP. Essentially a double dip recession for trade. You want to help us out, at least define that part, what double dip is for
so for double dip recession is basically when the economy recovers from previous recession and then slides into
right back into
it again 2 consecutive quarters. So what we have, the trade is the third largest contributor to GDP, and it's quite painful that policies to place the segment is not really in place. Now, we saw in Q1 2018, industry trade segments growth declined about 2.57%. The recent release for Q2 to about 2.1%. So it's quite painful to see that. But the reasons are not far-fetched. The reasons are not far-fetched. Number one, there are quite a couple of issues bedeviling in that segment. Number one, you pick the current situation of the ports, because the trade, what's trade about? You bring in goods, we import a lot of goods, we sell and things like that. We look at the situation of our ports today. We have quite a number of ports: the Warri, the Onne, the Apapa, Tinkan, and like so. But the major functional one is the Apapa port. Takes in about 80 to 90% of our imports. But you find a situation whereby the roads leading to the ports, the clearance of those products and things like that take a long while to materialize. So the goods that we are so-called importing, we're actually not really even able to bring them into the public and into the market for people to buy. It takes a long time for you to get them cleared at the port. So it's a problem. We need to work on the ports infrastructure. But the major reason that we can allude this to also is the weakening. Consumer spending is weakening. People's purchasing power is fast. Has been declining at a very fast rate. I mean, you look at because we import most of what we consume. So you look at when we're importing at 190, 200 naira to $1 some years back. Now we're importing at 360, 364 to $1. Is there a commensurate increase in income to be able to match that increase? So, you might want to point to the statistics that we import more in 2017 and in Q2 2018 than we did in Q1 2017 and Q1 2018. We did 2.5 trillion, 2.1 trillion in the previous quarter. But by the time you factor in the fact that some of these 2.5 trillion don't even leave the ports. Right. Number two, you also factor in the fact that even despite the fact that these imports are increasing, despite the fact that imports increase, who are the people purchasing these goods? I mean, very soon, because the GDP data that was released, was categorized based on output. When we get one that literally has been weakening and it's really not helping. We need consumer spending to drive the economy. It contributes about 60% of the GDP. So if consumer spending is lagging behind, then the rest of it is going to go down. So trade, we just.
It is what we have no positive stories today. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very, very apologize, but that's just what it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Benga has a message for us on WhatsApp. Benga says, even before arriving, Theresa May has fired shots about poverty levels in Nigeria. How come we're not making progress in this regard, and our politicians continue to reel out statistics on how they are alleviating poverty? So any whiff of restructuring in any sector that does not maintain the status quo is a no-no for Mr. President.
Sad stuff.
Interesting. Yinka says, this guy was only the Minister of Petroleum because OBJ did same. Why OBJ did that, he has no idea, but he just decided to join the bandwagon of presidential minister. Though he even knows how the PIB, does he even know how the PIB came about? I guess not. Part of the new bill waters down the powers of the minister, which I bet if he had appointed one, he won't even blink an eye to append the signature. But hello, I'm the minister, Sha.
Yinka, watch your language.
Henry Manuel says, I want to believe the media reports about the PIGB is inaccurate, particularly because of the reasons provided. If this bill is not signed, the 9th National Assembly will have to start the process from the beginning. Is Buhari aware of this?
It's a good question.
Yes, indeed.
All right, we're still on this ports matter. Let's go on this Bloomberg story. So Nigeria's cocoa exporters say about 30,000 metric tons is stuck at the ports. Just another story to follow up what you just talked about with the trade.
Even feelings from the industry, when you talk to people who are actually in this industry, the cocoa exporters, you really get the sense that really they are not happy with what is going on. usually transporting your goods probably from farm areas like in Ondo State, Aruoture, and other places where cocoa plantation is a major source of income for a couple of people, taking them down to the port. Usually, it takes some hours. Nowadays, recent times they spend days.
Right.
Sometimes they spend weeks on the road trying to get the goods into the port
so they can export.
So that they can export.
Right.
So number one, your haulage cost is increasing. So you're weakening your margins. So it's really affecting the producers themselves. So really it's really painful to see that the government or the people who remain to be responsible for these things are not looking towards improving this the infrastructure of the ports of our ports. I mean, we need to work on this. It's a major source of that's like the connection apart from oil that we don't have to export through the ports. I mean, goods. When you're talking about fiscal goods, they have to go through the ports. So if your ports are not working, if the ports infrastructure are poor, then you are hindering the growth of imports and exports. How easy is it for us to get it across to other countries? So we need to work on that too. It's not just trying to boost production. Yes, it's good. We need to boost production, but we need to also work on infrastructure to get them out of the country, because it's of no use producing what you can get out of the country. So imagine 30,000 tons. That's about
almost 12% of it.
I mean, it's really.
So Lagos, I apologize. No. But Ayo of Afri Invest, thank you so much for joining. It's still solid analysis. We appreciate having you here. And guys, as usual, we appreciate you guys sending in your messages on WhatsApp and Twitter. We on Business Express, we just tell you the truth. That's what we do.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, we just have to tell you the
what
truth.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But let that just put a surge in you to work harder today. Just get above the poverty level.
We have to do what we can. We have to do what we can.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Go back to YouTube anytime to watch a recap of the episodes that you probably missed in the past and today's episode. Go to youtube.com/smooth91FM Lagos and stick to that YouTube, but also hit the subscribe button so you can find out when we come on live at 7:30 for a detailed analysis of newspaper stories inside of Freshly Pressed 91. From Rotus and Aya.
Bye.
Business Express on Smooth.